We are kicking off today with Vince McMahon, as it's been less than 2 months since his second departure from the company, which this time is seemingly for good. The allegations against McMahon, as described in Janel Grant's lawsuit, are disturbing to say the least, and there's been a significant change in how these matters are being talked about in WWE. During discussion on Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer highlighted a significant shift in attitudes towards McMahon, especially against those who once tried to defend him. Meltzer explained while there were some in WWE who defended McMahon following the allegations, nobody is bothering trying to defend him anymore. He said that the response is akin to throwing in the towel, as those who were once on his side have accepted he's gone and that they can't even try to defend him. Certain superstars have spoken about McMahon since his resignation, with Cody Rhodes saying on the post-Royal Rumble press conference that the situation was a dark cloud. Seth Rollins later said that if the allegations against McMahon are true, that he hopes Vince gets what he deserves, and that also goes for those in WWE who knew of his alleged behavior. As the allegations against McMahon continue to unfold, the future remains uncertain for the former WWE chairman, but any last hopes of a comeback have seemingly now been dashed. Janel Grant's lawsuit is against both McMahon and WWE as a whole, and also claims that she was trafficked to John Laurinaitis and other names by the former chairman. In a statement, Laurinaitis' legal representative said that he is a victim in this situation, not a predator, and now more has come out about his situation. PW Insider reports that on March 20th, Laurinaitis filed a waiver of service with the U.S. District Court of Connecticut, which shows he's aware of the suit, and now he has 60 days to respond. This also means Laurinaitis has waived his right to be formally served with the documents, demonstrating that the former WWE GM is focused on responding to the allegations. There's no word on when we can expect to see Laurinaitis in a courtroom, but this is certainly a serious matter which could have serious implications for the stepfather of the Bella twins. Laurinaitis was fired from WWE in 2022, and unlike Vince McMahon, he was unable to worm his way back in, and we'll continue to follow his situation for further updates. At WrestleMania 40, Drew McIntyre has the opportunity to finally become world champion in front of a live crowd, but he has more to worry about than just Seth Rollins. Since July 1st, 2023, Damian Priest has held the Money in the Bank contract, and in a page out of Rollins' playbook, could cash in at the Showcase of the Immortals. While speaking on Evan Mack's World, Drew McIntyre addressed the possibility of Damian Priest cashing in and said it's something that he's keeping in mind. Drew recalled Priest trying to cash in during his previous title match with Rollins and said that the Claymore kick on the outside he gave Priest hurt himself just as much as it hurt Damian. Priest has tried to cash in multiple times but has failed to successfully do so, but has vowed that he will silence his doubters when he eventually makes an official cash-in attempt. Do you think Priest should cash in at WrestleMania? And should his cash-in be a successful one? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Since leaving WWE, Bill Goldberg has hardly had a positive opinion on the company, as he's claimed that he was promised a final match by WWE that they never delivered. Recently, Goldberg appeared on the Nothing Left Unsaid podcast, and when asked about WWE, made clear that he's still not thrilled with his former employer. Goldberg started off by saying that even though the company didn't give him what he wanted, they took plenty from him, including his streak and finisher. He explained, "A girl beat my undefeated streak. I can't even remember. Asuka," meaning Asuka, is her name. "Some Japanese girl. They touted her as being the one to have the longest winning streak. It just so happened that it culminated when I got there. Then it just so happened that every single wrestler uses the spear in their moves. Pretty ironic that happened when I got there." From there, Goldberg spoke about issues with Triple H and said that the pair had a confrontation shortly before Bill joined the company back in 2003. The issue between them stemmed from Triple H insinuating at the time that Goldberg played a large role in the demise of WCW, despite Goldberg not being on TV at that point in time. Goldberg even went as far as to say that after the comment, he wanted to rip Triple H's face off, which, thankfully for the future WWE Chief Content Officer, did not happen. Goldberg has had plenty to say about WWE, but the fans have had plenty to say about him, as many haven't taken too kindly to his comments about WWE and, quote, "some Japanese girl." On Twitter, fans lambasted Goldberg as a loser and pathetic, with one fan saying that Asuka on one leg, which is ironic as she's reportedly injured, is better than Goldberg on both. Another fan said that Goldberg should "shut up, Grandpa," while another used Jack Perry's infamous all-in moment, telling the WWE Hall of Famer to "cry me a river." With comments like these, it's likely we won't be seeing Goldberg brought back to WWE anytime soon, if ever. And do you think he has a reason to be mad? Let us know in the comments. Over to AEW, as at the upcoming Dynasty pay-per-view, new World Tag Team Champions will be crowned following Sting and Darby Allin vacating the titles after Revolution earlier this month. While there are several impressive teams involved, Jon Moxley is not in the tournament, despite recently teaming with Claudio Castagnoli to get a hard-fought win over FTR. Moxley hasn't wrestled since that match at Revolution, leading fans to wonder where exactly he's been, and there's a reason why we've not seen the former AEW World Champion. Fightful Select reports that Moxley's absence isn't due to an injury of any kind, but he is simply taking a few weeks off from wrestling, meaning he couldn't be in the tournament. Moxley was famously meant to take an extended vacation after All Out 2022, but had to cancel it so he could fill the gap after CM Punk and The Elite were suspended for their brawl. While he'll be gone from AEW, Moxley will not be out of wrestling entirely, as it's reported that he and the Blackpool Combat Club will be a part of a CMLL event on March 29th. Hopefully Moxley enjoys his break from AEW, as it's been a long time coming for the former world champion, and we'll have to see what's next for him once he's back on TV. In February, Maryse announced that she had been diagnosed with serous borderline ovarian tumors and stated that she would have to undergo a hysterectomy as a result of the diagnosis. Serous borderline ovarian tumors are often a precursor to cancer, so it's a good thing Maryse learned of her diagnosis when she did, and now there's been some great news. On Instagram, Maryse revealed that she underwent the hysterectomy 2 weeks ago and has announced that she is tumor-free. Maryse said that there are 7 cases per million in women in the US each year, and said that finding it at a manageable stage was unbelievable and literally saved her life. Had the serous borderline ovarian tumors not been found when they were, this situation would have likely turned fatal, but now Maryse can look ahead to a very bright future. While he was once a wrestler in his own right, Ace Steel is best known as the man who trained CM Punk, which, if nothing else, shows that he has an eye for talent. In addition to training Punk and competing in the ring, Steel was once a trainer at the WWE Performance Center and is given his picks for who is the future of the company. Sitting down with Sportskeeda's Wrestle Binge podcast, Steel was asked about the next generation and wasted no time in praising the efforts of Grayson Waller. Despite his cocky personality, the Aussie icon was always willing and ready to learn in the Performance Center, and Steel also saw big things for the Creed brothers and Ivy Nile. Odyssey Jones hasn't been used on WWE's main roster despite being drafted last year, but Steel added that he was impressed by the big man and expects big things for him down the line. Right now, Ace Steel is producing for TNA, but clearly keeps an eye on WWE. And what do you make of his picks for the future of WWE? Share your thoughts down below. We've got Stardom news now, as in February, Rossy Ogawa, the promotion's founder, was fired abruptly, and it was believed at the time that this would cost Stardom some big names. Many women on the roster are fiercely loyal to Ogawa, to the extent that while Julia is expected to join WWE, she's first expected to join Ogawa's rumored new promotion first. Now Tokyo Sports reports that more Stardom women are expected to defect by the end of March, those being Utami Hayashishida, Mirai, Mai Sakurai, and Yuzuki. Hayashishida currently reigns as the 3-time Goddess of Stardom champion alongside Saya Kamatani, so losing her is going to be a big blow to Stardom and a win for Ogawa. Mirai is also a current title holder in Stardom, reigning as Artist of Stardom champion alongside Akari and Ami Sorim in what will be another loss for Stardom. Ogawa was accused of poaching talent when he was fired from Stardom, and while we can't say for certain that happened, it seems talent are eager to leave Stardom to go work for him. Earlier this week, we reported on Ronda Rousey and the strong words she has had for WWE since her exit from the company. In her new book, Our Fight Memoir, Rousey writes about Vince McMahon and hardly has a glowing take on the ex-chairman, but she originally planned to go much further. On the Never Before Told podcast, Rousey discussed her book and shared that she wanted to go into great detail about some of McMahon's former allies in WWE. She said, "We were contractually held to 90,000 words and I was going to talk so much more shit, especially about John Laurinaitis and Bruce Prichard. I understand, we had to streamline everything and now take a detour on the these old bastards path. There was a lot more to it, but I had to get down to the meat and potatoes." Rousey has previously hit out at Prichard, saying that as long as he's with WWE, McMahon has an influence in the company, and sees him as little more than a puppet for the ex-chairman. Labeling WWE as a shit show, in her new book, Rousey has no intentions of going back, and we're sure it'll make for a gripping read when her book hits shelves next month. Now, the wrestling world was saddened with the passing of Ole Anderson, and during a recent edition of NXT, Brooks Jensen wore a shirt bearing the late Horseman on it. That shirt did stir up some controversy given Anderson's controversial views, and on Twitter, fans asked Brooks about wearing a shirt of somebody with a history of racism. On Twitter, Jensen made clear that he does not support racism and only learned of Ole's alleged views after wearing the shirt, and spoke of his own experiences of being judged for how he looks. Anderson's controversies are documented, including telling black wrestlers at the time they only had a job because of their skin color and using racial epithets around black wrestlers. Brooks Jensen did what he felt was the right thing to do, and many fans have given him props for that, and the NXT star has said that this was a learning experience for him. Over to Raw now, as next week's show will take place in Chicago, Illinois, and will feature the return of CM Punk in his hometown. The best in the world will no doubt get a huge ovation in the Windy City, especially if the ticket sales for the upcoming Monday Night Raw are anything to go by. As WrestleTix reports, the announcement of Punk for the show has seen a massive uptake in sales, with 2,632 seats being sold in the time since he was announced. Over 17,000 tickets have been sold in the last week alone, a surefire sign of Punk's impact on the sales, and now just 531 tickets remain for the upcoming show. Raw will be Punk's first time in the Allstate Arena since his return to WWE at Survivor Series War Games, and expect a raucous ovation for the best in the world in just a few days. More from Vince McMahon, as since his departure from WWE, Triple H has been the unquestionable head of creative, with fans being pleased for the change. The general consensus is that WWE's storytelling has improved significantly with McMahon gone, and one superstar who's benefited from the game is Trish Stratus. Speaking on the ironically named Game Plan podcast, Trish gushed about her 2023 run as a heel and said that Vince McMahon was always against the idea. Vince's reasoning was that fans would simply not boo her, so it wasn't even worth trying something new with Trish, but Triple H insisted on giving something new a go. Stratus added that turning heel felt like she was waking up the fans who had grown accustomed to cheering her because she's a legend no matter what on TV. Trish has called her Payback 2023 match with Becky Lynch her favorite of her entire career, and it wouldn't have been possible if not for the Cerebral Assassin. Long before WWE introduced the women's tag team titles in 2019, Layla and Michelle McCool ran roughshod over the women of the company before their eventual split in 2011. One woman who worked with LayCool at the time was Natalya, and on the Ring the Bell podcast, she advocated for the return of the former WWE Women's Champions. Natalya said that McCool is in amazing shape every time she comes back, and she learned a ton from her and Layla, and would love to see the pair reunite at some point in the future. Layla hasn't wrestled since her 2015 exit from WWE, while McCool was a part of last year's Women's Royal Rumble, and is a LayCool reunion something you'd like to see? SmackDown news now, as tonight's show will see Rey Mysterio face Santos Escobar in a match many believe WWE would hold off on until WrestleMania 40. On social media, SmackDown GM Nick Aldis, still recovering from his recent surgery, discussed the LWO's feud with Legado del Fantasma and laid down a stipulation for tonight's match. Aldis declared that all faction members will be barred from ringside, and we'll have to see what goes down in Mysterio's first match since his November knee injury. Since coming to WWE, Logan Paul has faced some of the company's biggest names and captured the US title last November, but he's not the only mid-card champion. Over on Raw, Gunther has proven his mettle as the Intercontinental Champion, and with such different styles, there are those who are curious to see how a match between the two would go. One name who is interested in the match is Gunther himself, who in an interview with TalkSport said it'd be an exciting match, but one he's not currently focusing on. Right now, Gunther's focus is on WrestleMania, but did say it's going to be interesting to see what unfolds in the future. Paul is currently 6-5 in his WWE run and will defend his title at WrestleMania. And would you be interested in seeing the Maverick face Gunther? Let us know down below. And we're ending today with more from Gunther, who is dominated as an Intercontinental Champion like nobody else and already boasts the record for the longest reign with the gold. The Austrian also holds the record for the most combined days as champion of anyone in history, and now he has another accolade to his collection. Recently, Gunther reached his 100th successful title defense, which came at a WWE live event and saw him retain against main event Jey Uso. Gunther's next confirmed title defense will be at WrestleMania against Sami Zayn, and we'll have to see if Der Ring General can withstand the underdog in Philadelphia.